For centuries, the greatest fear inside royal palaces was not war, rebellion, or assassination. It was something far more invisible. Something no army could fight. Something no crown could command. Pregnancy. Because in the ancient world, when a queen became pregnant, she did not simply carry a child. She carried the future of an empire. And when that future disappeared through miscarriage, stillbirth, or unexplained illness, the question was never what happened. The question was always who did this. Long before modern medicine, people believed life could be transferred, stolen, weakened, or destroyed without ever touching the body. Kings and queens ruled through divine authority, and anything divine could be attacked through supernatural means. A rival did not need a blade. A jealous woman did not need poison. According to royal superstition, all she needed was knowledge and access to magic. Across medieval Europe, the Islamic world, imperial China, and ancient kingdoms in Africa and Asia, there existed a terrifying belief shared quietly among royal women, that pregnancy could be stolen. Not symbolically, not metaphorically, literally taken from one womb and transferred, destroyed, or cursed by another. This belief did not exist among peasants alone. It lived in palaces. It shaped laws. It caused executions. And it was taken so seriously that entire court systems were reorganized around protecting a queen's womb. When a queen announced her pregnancy, the palace changed immediately. Rooms were sealed. Schedules altered. Faces removed. Servants dismissed. Because the queen was no longer just a woman. She had become a target. The idea of stolen pregnancy came from a mixture of ancient magic traditions, religious interpretations, and fear of female power. In older belief systems, creation itself was seen as a transferable force. Life was not fixed to the body. It was energy, essence, spirit, something that could be drawn away if exposed. One of the most widespread fears was sympathetic magic. The belief that anything connected to the queen's body, hair, blood, clothing, even footprints, could be used to affect her internally. If a rival woman obtained even a small piece of the queen's essence, she could perform rituals intended to weaken the womb, confuse the unborn child's spirit, or draw fertility toward herself. This is why queens were obsessed with secrecy. Their clothes were burned or locked away. Their hair was collected personally and destroyed. Servants were forbidden from keeping any personal item touched by the queen. Even laundry was considered dangerous. In some courts, pregnant queens wore the same garments repeatedly, believing fewer clothing changes meant fewer chances for theft. There was also the belief in womb transference, the idea that fertility itself could move between women. If a queen miscarried while another woman conceived at the same time, it was not coincidence. It was theft. Chronicles from medieval Europe describe whispered accusations among noble women after failed royal pregnancies, especially when a mistress or rival court lady soon announced her own child. Queens did not accuse openly. They accused silently, through isolation, through disappearance, through punishment disguised as illness or exile. In many royal courts, midwives were considered the most dangerous people alive. They knew the condition of the womb. They knew the timing. And knowledge itself was believed to carry power. If the wrong person knew how far along the pregnancy was, or if the child was male or female, that knowledge could be weaponized through spells or curses. That is why midwives were often sworn to secrecy under threat of death. Some were imprisoned after successful births. Others were never allowed to serve again. In certain kingdoms, midwives were blinded, exiled, or forced into monasteries, not for failure but because they knew too much. Pregnant queens were often moved into seclusion, not for rest but for protection. Entire wings of palaces became forbidden zones. Windows were covered, mirrors removed, visitors restricted. Even female relatives were kept away. Because women, not men, were believed to be the carriers of womb magic. This fear existed across cultures. In medieval Europe, pregnancy loss was rarely explained as natural. If a queen miscarried, it meant someone had cursed her. Witch trials increased dramatically following failed royal pregnancies. Servants, herbalists, ladies-in-waiting, and even nuns were accused of stealing fertility through spells. Some were tortured into confessing to crimes they did not understand. Others were executed quietly, their deaths recorded as disease or travel accidents. In royal letters, coded language appears again and again. Phrases like, "the shadow passed," "the light was taken," or "the blessing moved elsewhere." These were not poetic metaphors. They were references to stolen pregnancies. In the Ottoman imperial harem, the fear was even more intense. The birth of a son meant power. A pregnant woman instantly became a threat to every other woman around her. As a result, pregnant consorts were hidden deep inside the palace. Eye contact with other women was limited. Food was prepared by trusted servants only. Water sources were changed frequently. Amulets were sewn into clothing. Prayers were combined with ancient protective rituals. If a pregnancy failed, investigation followed. Another woman was suspected. Punishment was rarely public. Women were transferred, locked away, or simply vanished from records. The harem appeared peaceful from the outside. Inside, it was a battlefield of fear and superstition. In imperial China, pregnancy was not just biological, it was cosmic. A male heir represented harmony between heaven and earth. If a pregnancy ended, it meant the cosmic balance had been disrupted. Taoist rituals were performed secretly to protect pregnant empresses. Talismans were placed beneath beds. Iron objects were hidden near the womb. Certain words were forbidden to be spoken near the pregnant woman, because speech itself was believed to shape reality. Rival consorts were accused of using spells to steal sons. This belief led to purges inside the Forbidden City. Women accused of womb theft were interrogated, tortured, or executed. Official histories rarely mention the reasons. They simply record sudden deaths, demotions, or disappearances. In parts of Africa and South Asia, royal superstition treated pregnancy as fluid. Fertility could be borrowed, drained, or redirected. Queens wore layers of protective charms. Certain women were banned from approaching them. Mirrors were covered. Nighttime rituals were performed to anchor the unborn child's spirit to the mother's body, so it would not wander or be stolen during sleep. Sleep itself was considered dangerous. Many queens were never left alone at night. Not for comfort, but for defense. It was believed that spells worked best while the victim slept, when the soul was unguarded. Women were stationed nearby not to help, but to witness. Because if a miscarriage occurred, someone had to be blamed. Iron became the universal defense. Iron knives beneath beds. Iron keys sewn into pillows. Iron rings worn during sleep. Iron was believed to disrupt magic. This is why fairy folklore later portrayed iron as protection, because it was already used that way in royal bedrooms. Pregnant queens were forbidden from certain activities. They could not attend public events. They could not watch executions. They could not see blood, because blood was believed to attract forces that could weaken the womb. If a queen accidentally witnessed violence, rituals were performed immediately to cleanse the effect. Even religion did not erase these fears. Christian queens practiced pagan rituals. Muslim queens used pre-Islamic charms. Confucian courts relied on Taoist magic. Public faith and private superstition existed side by side. History often paints queens as symbols of grace and power. It does not show them lying awake at night, terrified that another woman might steal their child without ever touching them. When a queen finally gave birth, the fear did not end. Newborns were guarded obsessively. Windows sealed. Nurses watched. Visitors restricted. Because the child's spirit was believed to be fragile. If not anchored properly, it could be taken after birth as well. If the child died young, the belief in theft was confirmed. Someone had succeeded. Modern historians dismiss these fears as superstition. But superstition is only foolish when it has no consequences. These beliefs reshaped courts, destroyed lives, and decided succession. Entire bloodlines vanished under the shadow of this fear. And here is the most unsettling part. In many cases, there was no magic at all. Miscarriages happened because medicine did not exist. Infections, stress, malnutrition, and genetic issues were common. But instead of science, blame was assigned. And blame required punishment. Women paid the price. Servants died. Midwives disappeared. Rivals were silenced. All because a queen's pregnancy failed, and the world refused to accept that nature, not witchcraft, was responsible. So when we look at history and see the unexplained disappearance of women from royal courts, we must ask a different question. Not what crime they committed, but what fear they represented. Because behind the golden doors and jeweled crowns, queens ruled nations while fearing something no one today can see. That their child could be taken, their future stolen, their legacy erased, not by armies, not by daggers, but by belief. Welcome to Throne Unknown, where history speaks in whispers and crowns hide their darkest fears.